Hi everyone, let me take a minute to introduce myself to you and the event that's coming up. So firstly, my name's Greg Mackay. A little bit of my history is I've been learning and teaching and training martial arts for almost all my life, most of my life, over the last 40 years. I actually started doing boxing when I was 15. I'm 58 today, so that's well over 40 years. So I've done a little bit of training and I've been teaching full time and most of the full time, pretty much full time for nearly 25 plus years. And in that time frame, over that life of experience in martial arts and training systems, I've trained and studied a large number of different systems. I've completed a few systems. I've done competition kickboxing. I've worked as a bodyguard. I've worked in security systems. So I've had a pretty diverse life in the martial arts and fighting and self-defense industry. So I've done a lot, but what I've actually found with all my study, and I've traveled the world looking at different systems and different programs and what works and what doesn't work and that, and what I found that there's a problem, a key problem. No matter how much people have trained, most people still question their ability. And that I struggled with that for a while, thinking, why do people still question their ability if they've done all this training? And then I had to look at, okay, so then I started pulling martial arts and fighting systems apart. And what I did with that is I didn't go out to find what was wrong with the systems. I went to find out when something works, a technique works or a program works, why does it work? And then when I started looking at why something works, I found that all systems have good points and not so good points, but I wanted to find what works and what makes a system or a fighting art program work, and that's a common denominator with all systems. And that's what I've created and developed, something that works, that's come out of all systems. I'm not interested in what doesn't work. And it's a little bit like people say, well, we've been training this and I'm very good at this and this must work. Well, to me, it's a little bit like if you learn to spell cat, which is obviously spelled C-A-T, but if you learn to spell cat, K-A-T, for the last 20 years, you would be very good at it. It happens to be wrong, but you're very good at it. And I find this is a fundamental problem with most martial arts systems. They're very good at what they do, but in reality, and out there in the real world, when the rubber meets the road and there is a conflict, a lot of what was taught and trained just does not work in a life and death self-defense fight situation. So I struggled with that, and then I looked deeper and deeper, and the more deeper I looked at it, I found one of the big key issues that I think that needs to be addressed is all fighting systems that I've seen, and I haven't seen them all, but I've seen a lot with my travels, is they ask the fundamental question, how do we defend against this technique, this arm strike, this leg kick, whatever it is, or this attack with a bat, or whatever it is, how do we defend against that? And then they create a series of techniques and systems to defend against that, i.e. that's what a self-defense system is. The problem with that is when you go down that path, you are creating techniques that are reactive to situations. So what I did and what I've done is I've created a system where I ask a totally different question. I do not ask the question, how do we defend against this technique or this situation? I ask the question, how do we take control of this situation and where do we go from here? By asking the question, how do we take control, I get a whole different pathway of answers, which leads us in a whole different direction. We're not reacting to situations, we're controlling situations. So that gives us a whole different training system, basically. So from that, you'll learn what I'm able to give you on the night. You'll learn so much that I can show you different things, different ideas, different concepts, different principles. So it doesn't matter whether you've done a lot of training or a little bit of training or no training at all. I know that you will take away from this event a principle or a concept or something that you can use in your training now and into the future, no matter what your level of training is, even if you haven't trained before. So I look forward to seeing you at the event, and I'm very sure that you'll get a lot from it. Thank you.